Good morning and welcome to the Rewind Show. It is the Sunday Supplement, hashtag 171. I'm Steve Brown, and as always, over there at the sports bar in Bacup is Brent Peters. How you doing, mate?
I'm all right. Bearing up under the stress.
You're having a little bit of a problem with your phone. We've been switching it on and off, haven't we?
Yeah, it's
problems again.
It seems like it's quite stable at the minute. Let's hope it stays that way while we get through this show.
Yeah, let's get through it. If we do go off, then you can always come back on. We'll keep it flowing. Lots to talk about. First of all, how's your week been? Because it's been quiet. You've not spoken to me much this week, so you must be busy. FedEx stuff and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I've been busy. Obviously FedEx, and then the roof trusses are due here tomorrow morning for the new build. They're due to be delivered. Would you believe we've had all summer holidays, all in the recess of school holidays, and the school's back on Tuesday, and they've decided that the trusses are coming tomorrow. But listen, you know, it's another positive sign going forward on that front. In terms of work, yeah, mad busy. It's holiday time. People are off. What should be happening is we have a strict rule that you can only have one person can only be off.
Yeah.
And then your relief driver takes over. But the issue were we took a lad on, which were Claudio. So we took Claudio on, and Claudio had already booked an holiday before he started. So we've ended up having to, you know, we can't do anything about it. So we ended up with two people. We ended up with two people off. So, you know, it's been all hands to the pump in terms of that. And then the other thing is obviously training and trying to get people back who's out injured. We're getting there slowly but surely, but we're not there yet. Yeah. And it's kind of frustrating, and it's kind of, this is not an excuse or anything. The fixtures that we've had just recently and the teams that we've had to pick from haven't married up. Basically, it's as simple as that. We've been limited who we can pick from. We've lost players with injury, key players with injury, and at the same time, the fixtures haven't been kind to us.
Well, they haven't, because if you look at the games we've lost, Brent. You know, we've played a good batch of them top six clubs, haven't we?
Yeah.
Nelson, Uxton, McGull's in the mix this season as well. Holker yesterday. They've not been kind.
No, they haven't been kind. I mean, normally you get away with that a little bit because you won't, you know, you might go a couple of weeks and get players back, but in that couple of weeks you're playing like mid-table to bottom end of table teams. Yeah. And then when you come to play your top side, you're back at full strength. But we've lost players, and I'm not talking what you can write. Listen, I don't want people coming on here thinking, "Oh, here we go again." It's not here we go again. The key positions and the key places. You know, you've got a situation. If we go through it, you've got a situation where, you know, your goalkeeper. We'll talk about the goalkeeper. The goalkeeper's been carrying an injury. Whether he thinks, you know, he can get through games, but he came off at Atherton Alar at half time, and any goalkeeper for me that comes off a football pitch, well, it was on Monday, weren't it? So any player that comes off a football pitch at half time, in my opinion, must be restricted in some way, shape, or form. You don't come off, no. You know. But he came off, so that tells me all I needed to know. And then I was directed by the physio. You know, well, and he asked a straight question. Let's not go around the houses. Is he 100% fit or is he not? Well, no, he's not. Right, that's enough for me. You know, it's a key position. So there's that situation which doesn't help matters, and you have to ask yourself in some of the games that we've played. Has he been playing with an injury, and has it restricted him in certain movements that he...
Well, a few weeks ago, I said to you, I was watching the warm-up a couple of weeks ago. I don't know who we were against. And he dived down, but when he got up a bit gingerly. There wasn't freedom in his movement. So, you know, I'm thinking possibly there could have been an injury. A slight injury, but he thought he could get through it.
Well, this is one of the points I made yesterday before yesterday's game. People have got to be kind of upfront and honest, and if they are honest, and I ask them a question and say, "Well, can you get through the game?" and they make rucks in that situation, there's only one person to blame, and that's me.
Yeah.
You know, but when they're not saying that, and they're playing, and then they're not doing what we consider, when people set the bar, you know, the levels.
Yeah.
And they set the bar, and then he's dropped below the bar. You're thinking, hang on, there's something not right here. And then I don't go around with my eyes shut. You know, I see him going to the physio before games and being strapped up, and this happening and that happening, and I think, you know, so you get a feeling. But I wish, you know, people have got to be upfront and honest. And at the end of the day, if they're not upfront and honest, I'll make decisions how I see how I see the situation. So going back to the keeper, there's no doubts in my mind that if a keeper comes off on Monday on bank holiday at half time, you know, and says, I'm really struggling, you know, you've got Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and going into another game Saturday. In my opinion, he must have been struggling, and he's trying his best to be fit, but he's not fit, and he's not fully fit. So that's why there was a decision made there. You know, he was taken out. Now, on top of that, you've got a situation where, you know, our praying. You know, Joey Fallon were back in training. He's been training for the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, he was being put through his paces before the game yesterday, wasn't he? He was up there with the lads.
Yeah. So, you know, I'm praying that Joey's fit and can play. You know, especially going to Holker. You know, we needed him back. And it's not just about his physical presence, and it's about his leadership and his organisation and talking. You know, this is big thing. And if you look at yesterday's game, the 2 goals that we conceded yesterday in quick succession in the first half, which killed us. You know, let's be honest. Let's get one thing straight here. We didn't play badly yesterday. We played quite well, especially second half. We absolutely asked a lot of questions of them. But we're chasing a game, you know. But when you analyse the goals that we conceded, we'll come on to that in a little bit. But the goals we conceded, you know, if there's leaders in there in that situation, them goals don't happen.
No,
you know, it's about talking and organising. It's all right having lads in, you know, and doing the job, but we need them leaders. You know, Gareth Wage is another leader. You know, that wouldn't have happened. I mean, listen, Gareth Wage didn't fill himself in any glory in his last match before he went. He was missing and went on holiday. When he come diving out on halfway line, and he went to ground, and obviously they broke on us, and they scored the win. I think it was Thornton Cleveland's, and they scored the winning goal. So he didn't fill himself in any glory in that situation, and he is an experienced player. But the fact of the matter is, talking, organising is massive. Yeah. And you know, if we look at their 2 goals yesterday,
just having that football intelligence, Brent.
Well, that's right. Them 2 goals that they scored yesterday, it was crazy how they got them goals. You know, not taking anything away from Holker. You know, the same player, number 7, got the team sheet with me.
Tom Dawson.
Yeah, he you know, he's took his goals well, and he you know, but they were preventable. And the leader, the person who should have been, you know, directing operations in that, didn't. He got it all wrong. He got everything wrong. He did everything opposite to what he should have been doing.
But you know how Holker play. We all know how Holker play. If they win the toss, they're coming down the slope and they're putting it on you.
Yeah. And what's happened is, let's talk about the goals. I mean, he's kept an eye line. Right, which, you know, it's all right keeping an eye line, but he's, you know, the player I'm talking about is spare. You know, he's spare. Everybody's engaged to the men, so it becomes a situation. If everybody's engaged to the men, if he drops off, and forget this offside business, we shouldn't be playing offside going down that hill. You know, and you're asking. I mean, that linking lines, the lineswoman or whatever. You know, there were a couple she got wrong, you know, but it's a lottery, really. Let's be honest.
I saw one that she got desperately wrong in the second half.
Well, that's what I mean. But the thing is, what I'm trying to say is, when it comes down, when you're trying to rely and you're stepping up and trying to hold a line high, right? You're relying on a linesman or a lineswoman. It's a lottery, because most of the time, let's be honest, at our level, and this isn't being critical, they're away with the fairies. And sometimes they go with a shout. So he's off. Oh, right, yeah, he's off. Flag goes up at the same time. So we don't need to.
Game, aren't you?
So, yeah, exactly. So defend against it. Just defend against it. Don't make it a lottery. And the fact of the matter is, when we analyse then the first goal and the second goal were identical, right? You've got a situation that we've got a tight line. So everybody's rigid in the line. It's rigid. So you've got a player. I can't criticise the players because they were all with the men. But sometimes if you're with a man, and it's like an horse race, isn't it? It's like, if you think about it, and you look at, and you're into horse racing, and the horses are coming up to the line, and there's about 3 or 4 horses, and they're all like, and their heads are going forward, and it's like neck and neck, and then more or less on the line, somebody gets ahead of you because they're quicker than you, slightly quicker than you, they break away from the pack. Yeah. Well, if we analyse the first goal, and correct me if I'm wrong, because you were over that side, right? What were happening that were exactly what were happening. Everybody were with the men. There was no problem, but one player in particular, this 7, got away from his marker, slightly away. Now, if the spare man, and I'm not going to say names on here and start, putting people under a bus, but if the player in question that I'm talking about drops off,
it's mopped up.
It's mopped up. He clears that. He goes in and he can go to ground if he wants and wins the challenge and puts it out for a throw. We regroup and we go again. But he's not done that.
But this is exactly how we're not making excuses for injuries. But you just mentioned it. Wager and Joey Fallon give you that security.
100%. They know how to do that. They deal with that. But what my point is, he's not done it. He's gone the other way. Instead of dropping off, he's kind of gone and pushed into the line.
Yeah.
So when that lad breaches the line,
there's Belgium there.
100%, Steve. You've got it bang on. So he's gone and pushed up to the line. We're all in the line, right? And then he's brought the line. We're knackered. We're out the game. And the trouble is the line with that high that the keeper's out the game as well. So the keeper had no chance.
Foot race. It's a foot race.
It's a foot race, and then he finishes it, and he finishes it well. And the next one were identical. So there's no point talking. It's exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
But you know what the annoying part, and again, I'm not here to name names and everything, but you guys, we'd have training, and when they go to training, they're being drilled with the coaches on deficiencies, things that they've slipped up on. The third goal that they score, again, is off a corner, right? They've been working on corners. They've been working on it. But my point here is, as a manager, right, when players aren't turning up for training for whatever reason, how do you expect the coaches to improve them? And how do you expect them to be improved? And some of the excuses that are coming, I mean, I'm going to tell you one excuse here. I'm not going to mention names, not going to say anything, but I'll tell you what, I've been in football for almost over 40 years on frontline managing and coaching. And I'll tell you what, I've had some excuses in my time of players about missing training or even missing games. But this one I'm going to tell you bites the bullet, right? So I get a text message the day before training off one particular player. Brent, I'm just letting you know I won't be at training tomorrow because I'm having a tattoo done on my back and I have to rest.
You are kidding me.
I'm telling you. And I just think I am not even answering it. It's that mad. It's madness. What am I dealing with?
What are you fucking dealing with?
Exactly. What am I dealing with? What am I dealing with? And I'm not going to name names. I'm not going to say anything else. But that is exactly what I got.
That's a killer.
That's
worse than the dog eating your own work.
Honestly, seriously, and so what I'm trying to get at is, I feel sorry sometimes for. Listen,
yeah,
there's some instances where I don't feel sorry for the coaches because I think sometimes you can overcoach. I'll be honest.
I agree.
Right, overcoach and given too much information.
Yeah.
Right. And I also think that sometimes there's too much emphasis on going on the opposition. I mean, if Ryan Russell spoke to you, Ryan Russell will tell you, right, that last year and the year before, and the year before, well, Ryan Russell's only been with. If he sent me information about another team, cheers, Ryan, I'd just pick certain points out and from your own interest about what do they do on a set piece or something like that. But I wouldn't even bother repeating myself to the team, because I always
you don't care about the opposition.
Never. But sometimes we've got coaches. Well, because we've got coaches that do care about the opposition and say they'll play this and do that, and we must do that and do that. And there's too much emphasis, in my opinion. But this isn't about that. I'm just saying, there's some coaches overcoach, and some coaches they overcook it and they give too much information. I'm not saying our coach, but I'm saying coaches in general. They give too much information and they're blagging the Reds. And football's a simple game. It's simple. Right, but this is what kind of can happen. But equally, on the flip side to that, when they're coaching positive things and coaching like corners and what you've got to do on corners and situation, you need the players there to execute it. Yeah. How can you be working on a back four and you've only got two players out your back four at training, and they're trying to work on drills. So it's wrong. It's out of order. Players should be there, and if players are there, that is the time to go through everything and really drill them on the training pitch.
But you made the changes at half time, Brent. I saw the changes you made straight away at half time, and it were working. We asked more questions of them.
Oh yeah, well, it were working because it were working, and the different personnel came on, right? There's different personnel came on the pitch, but that said, we told the lads and give instructions, basic instructions, what you've got to do. So the players who had men to mark, they marked. The spare player, mops up, sweeps off, organises. That's as simple as it is. We changed things around a little bit with different personnel, and we started to ask a lot of questions. Let's be honest. In majority of the games we've scored goals. We haven't not scored goals, and in the majority of the games that we've played, we've created chances. So we know that going forward and with the players that we've got. We're exciting and things, but what's happening is, if you just take the last two games, for instance, we've conceded in the last two games 5 goals in 2 games. Yeah. But analyse this is what I say about people. Like we've got to strip it back and have a look, right? So if I strip it back, then we concede the first goal against Allerton LR, a penalty, most ridiculous penalty, not ridiculous because it were given. In my eyes, whether I weren't in a position to see whether it was in the box or not in the box.
A dangler, weren't it? Dangled his leg.
But you don't give the referee that opportunity from the position that you're in. You're coming in, running towards your own box, and you start dangling a leg. You're giving them you're giving them an opportunity to go down, and then you're giving the referee a decision to make. So it's ridiculous. So we concede a penalty. It weren't good play in open play. We concede a penalty, right? So we conceded a penalty there. If you go to a previous game, Nelson, we conceded one of the goals were a penalty. And the penalty came from, again, the same player going in rash, ends up with a booking. But that ended up, what came about because one of our midfield players on the halfway line was blasé. The difference between going forward and going back into our box, that was the difference because he was blasé. It went under his foot. He was, too relaxed, and it ends up in a penalty. So think about how many penalties we've conceded in the last. We've probably conceded that many penalties in the last few games.
Doing a full season.
Exactly. So you've got to ask yourself them questions. But the player who's committing them is it is what we have because he's in a position where we've lost 2 key players in that position.
Yeah.
So, but we conceded penalties. And the other goal at Everton LR was down again. This is indiscipline. So we lose a player because he's speaking to a linesman. I don't know what he said to the linesman. I know the player's character, and he's probably said something he shouldn't have done. I don't know, but he's ended up getting sin-binned. So we not only lost a penalty, right, goal, but now we're down to 10 men. And whilst we were down to 10 men, we concede another goal. So it's self-destruct.
Yeah.
We self-destruct. We played well against Everton LR, but we're self-destructing. It's indiscipline.
It's almost like going back to, I thought we got away from it. It was sort of going back to last season where we self-inflicted and caused more damage to ourselves than the opponent did.
Yeah, exactly. And again, if I go back, I can go back, I could sit on the show and go back and identify every goal we've conceded. They're all there on the sheet, identify them. And you think, wow, why has that happened? We're self-destructing. So the Everton LI game, we've given them a penalty instead of being disciplined in our defending, right? We've then gone down to 10 men. There's been changes made which I didn't endorse. They're on the pitch, which I never endorsed, but that's another story, right? But we conceded in that situation, right? We ended up losing another goal, so we're chasing a game. So when you're chasing a game, everything goes out the window because you're throwing caution to the wind then because you're trying to get back in the game.
You're chasing a game against one of the top sides in the league.
Correct. And then on top of that, so if you look at yesterday's game, we don't need to go back any further.
No.
So you've lost the two goals I've just talked about. So then you look at yesterday's game, we set off quite well. There's no issues. But then they have this situation where they're bombing us down that hill, which we know they're going to play. Nobody drops off. He's trying to play an high line. They're trying to shove up, I think, trying to play the offside. They beat everything. They beat the lot. And then it's a simple finish. But it's not once, it's happened twice.
Yeah.
But it didn't happen.
In the space of 15 minutes.
But it didn't happen the third time because we stopped that from happening. But it almost did because if you remember, the same player stepped up at one point to try and play offside and there was no way we were offside.
No.
And he went through and keepers had to pull a save off. Yeah. So it's self-destruct. It's self-destruct and then we concede off a corner. Yeah. How many corners have we conceded off this season?
I've lost count, Brent. Go on, you'll be able to tell me. Probably about, 5 or 6?
It's all there on my sheet. So that's what I'm saying. So when people from a distance look, Bacup are in free fall. Yeah, we are. We're in free fall because there's people playing that would probably not really play. They'd be on the fringe, pushing for a place. We've lost key players. And the people that are in are making wrong decisions and not executing what they're being told by the coaches, like on a corner. I mean, the biggest debate after the game yesterday were the corner situation. Because, again, it's sacrilege, in my eyes, getting beat on a corner.
Yeah. I give a lot of credit, though, while we're talking about corners and defending. And give a lot of credit to new keeper, Billy Blake. I thought he did reasonably well.
I 100% for a young keeper.
Quite commanding for a young goalkeeper.
For quite commanding, came in, didn't know anybody, trained on Thursday with the lads, and not everybody were there, so he didn't train with all the lads. I thought he did admirably well, mate.
He pulled off a couple of reasonable saves at his near post.
If I had to be anything that's constructive criticism to him, I just think he's got to be a bit more vocal on issues, but that should come because obviously more and more he plays and more that he gets used to the players, that will come. But everything about his agility, everything about his is the way we're goalkeeping and coming for things and dealing with situations. He wasn't phased one bit.
I wasn't too sure what we were going to get with a young goalkeeper, having not seen him, but for someone so young, did all right.
Listen, Steve, there's nobody worse than me when it comes to young goalkeepers because I've been shot in the foot over the years with having to put young, inexperienced keepers in. Yeah. But you know what I'm going to say here? I know. Let's get one thing. How this happened, right? This situation happened because I'm walking off the pitch after the Atherton LI game, and as I'm walking off, and I've got the utmost respect for Dave at Atherton LI, the manager. He works well with us. He's quite friendly with our coach, fitness coach Ryan Russell. I did him we had, if you remember last year, I worked with him a bit on when we were having issues with the weather and everything, but they were trying to play catch up, and I kind of worked with him and helped him out. So I think he's repaying that respect, that I kind of work with him, but I get on quite well with him, and he's a really good guy. And I'm walking off the pitch, off the ground after the game. We're only having a conversation. I mean, I haven't gone looking, but the conversation goes where I'm saying, it's a bit of a worry now about my keeper. I lose my keeper at half time, right? He's walked off. He's come off injured at half time. Now, I'm people can say what they want, do what they want. The goalkeeper could have his own opinion and feel what he feels or anything. But the simple fact is, I come back to this situation again. Any keeper, if it's an outfield player that's got the problem that the keeper has, I get that he'd come off at half time because it'll restrict his running, right? But it's not going to restrict a keeper's running because he doesn't do much running. You follow me? Right? So for a keeper to leave the pitch at half time, in my opinion, has got to be, there's more to it than meets the eye.
Yeah. So
obviously I'm having a conversation with Dave and I'm saying, my keeper, he's come off at half time. So obviously, the chances are he's not going to be right for Saturday. He needs to get himself right because at the minute we're in a bit of free fall. The last thing I need is my goalkeeper not to be 100% fit and obviously letting goals in that really he should be dealing with, So it created a conversation. And when it created the conversation, he kind of basically said to me, look, we've got a good keeper here. And, I'm not going to, we've got a good keeper here, an excellent keeper. Excellent. He said, he's been at Stockport County. And then he kind of told me that how he played him. He played him in a few games, done this. And I even got an endorsement off our ex-keeper, our returner, because he must have played Darwin, and our returner and he ran, and our returners obviously spoke to Dave and said, well, that keeper's Bob on, where we got him from. So what I'm trying to get at here and say this is that the endorsements were coming about the keeper.
Yeah.
From the right areas, so Dave and then Ryan, away from me, Ryan Russell had conversations with Dave, and he'd gone more into depth with him about him, right? So everything that were coming to me was all positive. Then we got a report off a coach at Stockport County, and that was everything was good. It was ticking all the boxes, right? So it wasn't like, yes, I was throwing a keeper in, and I had no hesitation, because to be fair to Josh, on the Thursday, Josh trained and were adamant that he was fit to play Saturday, right? Adamant. But my physio weren't. I asked the question, are you 100%? Is he 100%? And he went, no, he's not.
That was
right.
Enough. Yeah.
So that were enough. And you know me, if if that situation arises, it happens. Like it was the same in the cup final with Ben Thompson, when Ben, he went to Ian Liversidge with his hamstring. Ian Liversidge rang me up and he said, "You're the manager, Brent." He said, "It'd be your decision. The lad's desperate to play in the cup final. But if I were you, all I'm telling you is, from a medical point of view, he's not right, and he'll end up coming off." Right. That were enough to me to leave him out.
Yeah.
You know, as ruthless and as cruel it might be, I have to be guided by that conversation. And this is why physios, if they're doing the job right, are massively important, because you've got to be guided by them. But they can't sit on the fence. They can't tell a player one thing and tell you another. They've got to be both ways. So the thing where I'd seen messages that Josh had sent to Miguel. I'd seen replies back from Miguel because Miguel provided them to me, and it was quite obvious that even though, you know, Josh, one word that Josh put on it was, I'll be right for Saturday, wonder, question mark. Well, Josh should have to tell him, really, question mark, but then put, I don't want to be missing games. I get that. Nobody wants to miss games, but you've got to be right, and you can't let yourself down when you're in. So you need to be fully fit. So I made that was the decision I had to make, but I was quite comfortable in making that decision because
on the recommendation of his player,
all these recommendations. So I had no hesitation in putting him in. And to be fair, you know,
he answered.
He answered. He ticked all the boxes. Yeah. So you know it was pleasing, and I have to, you know, say thanks to Dave and the way he handled everything at Allerton LR.
But another pleasing thing. Talking of pleasing things, Brent. Mason Fallon. Good to see him back on the pitch, having a good half down that left-hand side.
Yeah, he was a different class when he came on.
It was.
He was a different class, and it's good. You know, like you say, it's good to have him back. But this is another one. You see, the train. I mean, I was desperate for Mason to play on Monday against Allerton LR, but he didn't feel he were right. So if he didn't feel he were right, he's being honest. I don't put him in. Simple. Don't put him in. So he didn't go in. He's had a few more days rehab with Miguel. He's done what Miguel's asked him to do, and then he trained on Thursday. Felt good on Thursday. Joined in the game session. Felt good. So that obviously got him in the squad, and he took to the pitch in the second half, and he was one of the positives that came out of the game. So it was really good. But
the beauty with that, Brent, you know, as we've always said, it allows you then to free up Brad Hancock where he belongs, further up the pitch.
Well, yeah. You know, I mean, there's loads of options. I mean, when Mason comes back, because you've got Brad Hancock that can move and go further up the pitch, which can, you know, let's be honest. I've always said he's kind of too much. I always listen. He does a good job at left fullback. Let's get one thing straight. And he's athletic and he gets forward. And he's got good delivery, but when he's higher up the pitch, he's a goal threat. That's why he got into the cup final. He's a goal threat, and he's something that we're lacking at the minute. He's got aggression, whereas there's no two ways about it. I think I still maintain, even though we're talking about the bad goals that were conceded yesterday in terms of how we conceded, which we just discussed, I still maintain that since we've lost Callum Hewitt, we haven't got another Callum Hewitt in the we're desperate to get Ryan Siddall, but the Ryan Siddall situation, the league have just told us he's got to go before him on the 11th of September. So, you know, we've got to wait till 11th of September now for Ryan to go before him, and then hopefully everything will be right and we get Ryan around the squad. But then we've got 23 starting on Thursday. They're playing Jesse Lingard's academy at Bacup. So there's a couple of players that have played in the Northwest Counties against us that are that kind of player also that have, you know, haven't signed for anybody yet this season because of one thing or another, and they will play in that 23 game. So if they come through that, hopefully that breach that I feel we're missing in midfield will all of a sudden we will have players to pick from, which will help us, because there's no two ways about it. I honestly believe we're too much of a muchness in midfield at the minute. You know, technically very, very good players, technically good, great range of passing, but when it comes to like a war.
Yesterday I looked at the team sheet and you see, you know, someone creative like he's got Gervin, and then you've got Toby Hazard. For me, they're very similar kind of players.
100%. You know, and it is a concern. You know, even to a point, Ben Thompson. You know, but Ben, you know, out of them all, I'd say Ben has got that bit more aggression in him. You know, and again, Ben did well when he came on. But I just think that we have got that too much of a muchness, and we need that physicality in that midfield. You know, we need it, but it is what it is. I mean, no team. Listen, again, I'm not here bleating about the injury situation, but it's factual. You can't, you know, if we look at last week's team, you know, and look at the players that were missing out of that team, you can't go with eight players who'd be first names on the team sheet and expect to be a well-oiled, well-balanced side. It's not going to happen. No. You know, we're playing. You're playing. No disrespect to some of the lads that's come in, but we're playing with players that you know they've either come out to academy football, right, which is totally different to blinking. It's like the 23s football, totally different to North West Counties in first team. You know, not taking anything away. They've done well, but they're finding their way in it. You know, so we've got players like that. They've done well, and they'll continue to do well. But it's not. I'd rather have had them in better circumstances playing them than what we are playing them at the minute. And it's a well-known fact. You've got to have the balance right in midfield. You've got to have some aggression. You've got to win your battles in there, and you've got to be able to, like, obviously, you know, have a good engine where you're box to box, and you know you get the front line going, and then you're covering your back line. You know, that's massively important, and you've got to have a balance, and that's why. You know, losing Callum Hewitt is a massive loss because he gives you that difference.
Having that balance, Brent, is that the reason why you kind of decided on Alex Mellor rather than young Hodgson, knowing that they would be attacking down the hill and he'd probably have to do quite a lot of defending?
Well, that were part of it, but let me tell you something, right? Seriously. So because I go with. Listen, there'll be people on the ground. Ollie Hodgson has done really well going forward. Done really, really well. Not an issue with him. The only thing, if I'm going to complain about him, last week against Ellerton LR, he should have gone down. When he got that foul over here at this thing, he should have gone down. He tried to ride. He's too honest. He tried to ride it. And when I spoke to him after, this is the honesty, you know what he said? Well, I thought I could score. But, well, you know what I mean? Yeah. Go down. We'll get a penalty. Take the bleeding penalty if you need to, but you will score. But, you know, obviously, because he rode it, if, you know, referee allowed it to play on and then nothing come from it. But that apart, listen, my way of thinking yesterday was this. I'm going to go back. So I look back through the teams that played in the first few matches when we weren't conceding and we were playing. So I go back to the Main Road game.
Yeah.
And Main Road at the end of that game said to Alan Taylor, one of my coaches, Bacup Borough are relentless. You know, through loads of bouquets because we're solid. You know, we were hard to break down. We were good going forward. I mean, don't forget we scored 4 goals at Main Road.
Yeah.
Right? So I kind of went, that team yesterday was exactly the same team that played at Main Road. 100% the same team. Apart from the goalkeeper and apart from Callum Hewitt.
Yeah.
It was the same team. So while anybody can criticise that team's gone out and done absolutely and come out with the words relentless against Main Road. So that was the difference why basically I've gone with that. Plus the fact, knowing how they played, they would be, you're right what you're saying, he would have to do a lot of defensive work. And he's got to get that in his game yet. Because he'll do it. We've seen him do it.
Because it were coming too. I don't know what you've said to him, but even against LR, he were doing the defensive duties. It was starting to come in that game. The penny's dropping. The
penny's dropping, and he will get there. He will get there. 100% get there. You know, but you know, don't forget at the minute, the results aren't where we want them to be. And if I sit there as a manager and don't try and shuffle the pack the best I can to try and get that spark to make us win, I'm not doing my job.
No.
Because all that'll happen, Oh, it's the same old, same old, same old, same old, same old, same old. Well, if you look at last week's team, it weren't the same old, because last week I actually played Malachi Clark in midfield.
Yeah.
Because I shuffled the pack. Because why did I do that? Because we had who did we play at centre back last week?
Well, you had Ross Mallinson.
Oh yeah, that right. We had Ross Mallinson and Brady. So because he had a centre half and Ross did well, but obviously he couldn't travel up to Holker because of his work. Yeah. Ross did well. So I had Ross Mallinson and Brady, which allowed me to free Malachi and give us a bit more what I wanted in midfield.
More muscle and aerial presence in midfield.
You follow me? So that was shuffling the pack a bit, right? Then on Saturday, so when I knew that I couldn't have Ross travelling to Holker, when I knew that weren't happening, Joey Fallon comes over to me at training. He said, "What you thinking?" This was at end of training. I went, "I'm thinking that you're fit and you're going in on Saturday." Oh, I don't know about that, Brent.
No, slow down, put brakes on.
No, to be fair, what he said were, and this is true, I'm almost there. There.
Yeah.
I want to play at Holker, but I worry that if I make a certain movement and I have to go into a really important challenge,
he's not going to pull out.
I'm not going to pull out, and it's going to set me back another three or 4 weeks.
Yeah, bollocks to that.
So exactly.
Better being safe than sorry, especially when you want to play a back. A player of Joey's caliber, you want him back for the full season. You're not just for
exactly. So we rode that. So the issue I had then, I had no centre half in Ross Mallinson. So it were a case of, well, we have to go back to where we were before. Mal drops back onto back line and goes into defence.
Is Ross just a one-off, or are we going to see more of the lad? Because
I don't know. His job
he did okay.
Yeah, he did all right. Yeah, it's his job that's the problem. It's not me or me doubting his ability or anything. Yeah. His job. You can't listen. We're in a situation at the minute where we haven't got stability. We need stability. We need to get a centre half back. We need to get Joey Fallon back and really get embedded in him, because to me, Brady Boardman, right, has done really, really well since he's come in. He's a player, Brady. He has done really, really well. Right. The issue is, so in an ideal world, we need to get Joy back, playing alongside Brady, and we need some continuity and stability. Right. So you need that stability. You need continuity. Right. We ain't got that yet. Because of the situation we're in. In terms of Ross, it's ideal because his job dictates that he might play the next 2 games, but might miss the 3 after because of his shift pattern.
Yeah,
you can't have that. You can't have it as a manager, because you want that continuity and stability. You need to have it. Yeah. So that is no good. So the fact of the matter is, if we're struggling like we were last week and Ross is available, I wouldn't hesitate like I didn't last week. We put Ross in.
No,
not a problem.
Good shout, because I never saw that coming, and like you said, he's never let you down yet as Ross.
No, exactly, and so it wouldn't faze me. And he would have been in on if he could have. Look, his shit for pattern. He couldn't make the Holker trip because he wouldn't have been back in time for his work.
Yeah,
and it was too much of a risk. So that's the reason. Otherwise, he would have travelled to Holker and he would have played at Holker, and that would have given me that would have probably worked better for me, because it would have given me another midfield option in terms of Malachi.
Yeah, someone slightly different to the Azar and Gervin partnership.
And if you think about, when people are saying, I mean, you think about the last 2 weeks as well on substitutions and going back to Ollie, it hasn't been that, Kyle Siddall, or Alex Meller, they've still stayed on. Ollie's still been on the pitch with them. So that's offered even a more threat, because we've tweaked it by moving Kyle into a more midfield role, and it's asked a lot of questions. They've worried about us more than we've worried about them, because we've had technically good ability on the pitch. We've got pace to burn on the pitch, and obviously people are frightened to death of pace. So it's not a case of, listen, as a manager, you can't, even though you can't get everybody in. We've got other players on there. We can't get everybody in. You've got to have a balance in your team. You know, so somebody, if you've got four, Kyle Siddles and Alex Mellors, you can only play really two unless you shuffle the pack where you can get one in midfield or something like that. You follow me? It depends. You've got to have a balance. So, it's like anything else. Always come in. He's a new kid on the block. He's stepped up from playing at Nelson, where they haven't really given him, much game time. I'm not interested in what Nelson have done, but I know he's come here, and obviously it's like anything else. He will work his way into the team, and there hasn't been a game. I don't think there's been a game this season where he's not been involved. He's been on the pitch at some point.
Yeah,
and
we're off to a good start.
Yeah, and you've got to look at it this way as well. Some players, I don't know where the mindset is sometimes, because you've got to look at it like this. You start a game, and some people will run themselves in the ground, and on 60 minutes, you have to take them off and replace them. There's no detriment in that. They've done what they have to do. They get replaced. And then there's other players don't start, right? But when that player runs himself into the ground, they come on, and they can influence the game. So it swings and roundabouts. Just because you've been named on the bench doesn't mean to say that you're not in the manager's plans or you're not in the manager's favour. That's rubbish. It's absolutely bonkers, ridiculous thinking.
What about Conor Morris? What was, he had to come off?
I know. Listen, I haven't spoken to Conor. I've not spoken to Miguel. Look, Connor's, I'm going to be straight here. Connor's started the season and been flying, right? He's picked the baton up. He's ran with the baton. Before yesterday's game, it was great to think that I had a Conor Morris to select from, and he went in. But then he's had a knock and he's come off. Now, again, I'm sorry, and I'm saying it on here, I have to question that. I have to question it, because we were 2-0 down at the time, and we need a Conor Morris still on that pitch, because it only takes a second to score a goal.
He's played really well, just tucking in behind Toby as well, hasn't he?
And he's the kind of player that has a vision and can see something, and it only takes a second. And if he sees something, it only takes a second. He could turn the game very, very quickly on its head. So to lose him was again another blow. But I don't know until I speak to them. I might be doing the lad injustice. I don't know until I speak to Miguel, and I don't know until I speak to Conor. But what I'm saying is, again, it comes back to the goalkeeping situation. If you are leaving a pitch at half time or in the first half or whatever, then there's a problem. You must be bad.
Yeah.
So the situation is that I need to know, and I need to know what it is, and that'll be my mindset before next Saturday's game. Because again, he'll be no different than the keeper. Well, you've come off at half time, you've come off in the first half or whatever. I don't know, but it was a blow to lose a player of Connor's talent.
Yeah. As for Callum Hewitt. What's the news on that one? Are we still looking at 3, 4, 5 weeks?
Well, it didn't say 3, 4, 5 weeks. I got told 6 to 10 weeks.
No, but that was like a couple of weeks ago, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, it was 6 to 10 weeks. So he hasn't been he's been 3 weeks, hasn't he? So I would say he's got another, minimum. He's got another 3 weeks.
Yeah, and someone were asking about Aidan yesterday on commentary. But we know Aidan's still waiting for NHS. Surgery appointment. Can wait forever for that one.
That's the other issue. He's done everything right as Aidan. He's done everything right up to, going private. Now, I think he's even the surgeon that's going to be doing it is the one that will get him in. But I haven't heard that he's been in yet. He's not been in touch and said that he's been in. The last time I were in touch with Ed, and he was still waiting. I mean, it's my bad, really. I need to speak to him, you know. But there's that many things going on at the minute, and the club's like it should have a blinking hospital sign outside it because of that many injuries.
Well, yeah, you know, we spoke about that, Brent. It's not been great in regards to results, but are you worried? Are you worried, or do you believe that these lads can turn this around pretty quick?
Well, I'm not worried about a thing because listen, I've been in the game. I've been around this league, and I've been in the game a long time, and I know. And one thing about me, I won't really take, when we're in situations like this, I won't take really big gambles. I'll take a few chances, but not big gambles, if you follow me. You know, you've got to go tried and trusted. Let's get one thing straight. This is not an under-23 arena, right, where you're coaching players and developing them into playing styles and everything. This is where the real deal is. This is where you've got to win football matches, right? This is where you've got to stand up and be counted. You can't try new things in a first team arena, because if it goes wrong while you get in there, it's points at stake. And points, obviously, what does that do? You need points to blinking get to where you want to achieve, right? So you cannot, you know, one thing.
Yeah, it's not an experiment, is it?
It's not an experiment. It's like a comment I come out with yesterday leaving the pitch, and it was just a comment. It wasn't saying I was going to do this. You know, people need to open their ears and listen. It was a comment. And I said, that situation for them 2 goals, I'd wager have been on this pitch, then wouldn't have happened. Now, you can like wager or loathe him, that would not have happened. He would have automatically, he'd have managed it. That doesn't mean to say he's coming in. It doesn't mean to say anything. It means that he would have managed it better. And at the end of the day, whether he's blinking 102, 52, 42, 32, 22, right? If he's fit enough, he's a leader. And if he's fit enough, he goes in. It's all about results. It's not about what personalities, whether you like him or you don't like him. No. It's about getting results. So that's how it's got to be. Simple. We need results. I'm not here to make friends. I'm not here to make, listen, I need to get results, and I need to get them quick, right? And get us back on track. And I keep saying, are we creating chances? If we weren't creating chances, I'd be worried. We're creating chances, right? Are we conceding? Yeah, we're conceding too many. But you've got to have a look why we're conceding. Again, we're conceding off corners. There's something wrong on the setup on corners. That needs improving. Simple. It's no ifs, buts, or maybes. It's there for you to see. You can decide what you want to do all you want. You need to defend corners better, right? So that needs.
From what I've seen though on the corners, it's not down to like the lads not marking. It's communication. There's a lack of it.
That's probably that's one. I'm not going to go into great detail because obviously on here I'll get accused of we're giving too much away. But my point, the point of the matter is, we analyse the goals we're conceding. I've just gone on about it earlier. We've conceded too many penalties. What the blinking X all these penalties, right? I've just gone on about it here. The 2 goals we conceded on Saturday. You know, them 2 goals were identical. That's come within a. You're saying in 16 minutes we were 2 down, but the 2 goals came within about 6 minutes of each other.
Yeah.
You know, probably less than that. So the simple fact is, you analyse them goals on that pitch. That situation should not have happened, and with an experienced player in the back line, it would not have happened. He would not have happened. I'm telling you, been there.
That player would have just been patrolling back and forth.
Correct, exactly, and organising. Right, so that would not have happened. Now, that's all you can do. These are why you're losing games. You go to the Everton Ally game, like which I told you last week. We've gone to that game, analysed the goals we conceded, a penalty, right? And then we're down to 10 men through indiscipline. And then there's been a reshuffle on the pitch. And then we've got, there's been an overload and they've finished on us, right? Yeah. So again, indiscipline. And if we go back further, I can't remember the game, but they're all here. They're all wrote down. They're the goals that can be avoidable. So my concern is, at some point, at the minute, I've been giving people the Reds and letting them just go on with things and dealing with things. But there comes a time where I'm going, whoa, stop here, right? I'm taking charge of the situation now, right? And this is what, whether you like it or you don't like it, this is what's happening. And that's what's got, because at the end of the day, I cannot allow certain situations that's going on, keep going on. It's got to stop. And if I've got to put personnel in that will sort that out and kind of make us a bit more solid, and so we're not conceding, and so be it. So be it. That has to happen. But I need the players back first. I need players coming back. We've got Mason back, which is a plus. Now we need Joy back. And we get Joy back. And then obviously if Wager comes back off his holidays and his fitness is right, we have a look at that situation. But it's limited where he can play. And at the minute, obviously, if Joy's fit, and with the way Brady's played, Wager's not going to get in.
No.
Let's be honest about it. It's not going to happen.
It's difficult to dislodge the lad. He's done really well since coming to the club. Correct.
So he's not going to get in. You know, as much as we've been conceding. But if Joy's not fit, then he will get in because he'll be ahead of anybody else and play with Brady.
Yeah. Garstang next week then, Brent, at home.
Yeah,
a couple of home games coming up, and, you know, it's an opportunity if we can get the lads together, or some of them, for, you know, to get back on the back on track.
Well, it is, but I disagree with it with that a little bit, because that's like undermining a little bit our opponents, and I disagree with that. Listen, there's no easy games in the North West Counties League. Let's forget that. You know what I'm trying to say, Steve? There's no easy games. Every game you've got to earn the right to win games, and it doesn't matter how good the opposition is that you're playing or how bad the opposition is. If we are going to be rash in our defending and give penalties away because we're rashing our defending, you can be a blinking amateur team and you're going to lose the game.
Yeah. No, you're spot on there. Because you look at Garstang, you're right in what you said. I think they only lost 1-0, didn't they, a couple of weeks back to was it Nelson or Droylsden? So they're only losing by the odd goal.
Exactly. You know, it'll be tough. All games will be tough. I'm not interested in the opposition. I'm interested in what's going on here. And it's got to be right here. And I'm not happy that this when we're training, when these guys, these coaches, are giving the time up to improve situations and trying to improve situations, and people are throwing text messages in and making excuses that they can't be at training. You know, there comes a time where I'm going to have to jump on that massively, and I mean massively. You know, hitting pockets, fining them, whatever. You know, some of them are contract players. You know, we're not on a Jolly Boys holiday. They have to be there, right? I mean, as ruthless as I'm saying it, they're on a team bonding on Tuesday, right? Team bonding, right? This is the players. Thursday, we've got an under-23 game here, right? Some of the fringe players will play in that under-23, but there's no way the first team, right, squad should be training without them being there, because there'll be a time when they'll need to be in. So we all need to train together. And if that means we have to train on Monday, right, so they can go on the meal on Tuesday, we have to. But if that doesn't work, and now everybody's available Wednesday, they should cancel the bleeding meal. You know, which is more important, the bleeding team bonding and the bleeding meal, are getting this right. I know what I want. We've got to get this right.
What everybody wants, Brent, even the supporters. Good numbers again yesterday. We just want it to be fixed, mate. Like you do.
Exactly. 100%. And believe me, it will be fixed.
See you later, mate.
See you, Paul.